Talk a little bit about your unusual business model and cutting out the middleman, direct to consumer, and how you've tweaked it this year, if at all.
We identified a market that seemingly had no huge opportunities. We identified the shoe business as a great market to innovate and disrupt. And many people would say the shoe business, that's been around forever and there's a lot of people out there doing it. That's exactly why we thought the opportunity was so unique. At the same time, we looked at the luxury industry, an industry that is beloved and has seen years and years of great success from a business model perspective, but hasn't been innovated very much. And so we looked at the opportunity to innovate luxury through the leveraging of shoes and mixing great product, great technology, great supply chain in a very theatrical retail experience.
Do you consider yourself a retailer or a tech startup?
So the way we think about what we do is we are a consumer-facing business that is leveraging the best and most emerging technologies and supply chain innovations to drive a whole new consumer experience. And it's really the marriage of those two things that make this experience unique. We're a retailer because we want to sell things to the customer in incredibly innovative ways. We're a technology company because we want to do it in incredibly innovative ways. So it really is the best of both worlds.
Well, let's talk then about inventory. If you're introducing new shoes every Monday, every week, how do you avoid ratchet excess?
The business is really interesting. In the eye of the consumer, this is a fun, new, sexy retail brand that you gotta have. But truth be told, if you pulled back the curtain, we're much more of a data-driven supply chain business than we are anything else. We use real-time data to help us understand what inventory is gonna sell and isn't gonna sell based on what it's selling today. Now, the only reason we're able to do that is because our supply chain is so tight. We're manufacturing products 4 to 6 weeks before it hits the shelves of our store or the e-commerce site, versus the historical model where a luxury brand 18 months out will start the design process, and by the time it hits the stores, that data that they may have captured is irrelevant.
And are you talking about data just from your store sales or data from the shoe industry as a whole?
So we collect data from all different places. The most important data is our data. And it's data not just about the shoe sales, it's data about who the customer is, where they came from, what they're buying, what they're not buying, what they're looking at, what they're not looking at, how many people who look at something buy it, how many people who look at something don't buy it, pulling all that data together to give us the most predictive model on what the consumer is going to end up buying. And how do we then take it from one shoe and extrapolate it to many different shoes that have a large similarity in attribution? So it sounds really scientific, right? And this is the shoe business. And that's the difference. What Gemi is building is a fabulously interesting and beautiful luxury brand, at the same time a technology-driven engine and a data science-driven engine to really innovate the efficiency of inventory.
How many data scientists do you employ?
There's 4 today and more coming.
So is your goal a customer or a repeat customer?
The analogy we talk about all the time here is you go to a restaurant once, you had a decent meal, not great. You're probably not going back. We need to make sure that that first meal they have with us is so good, and if it's not perfect, that we manage it to make it perfect. So it is all about that second transaction.
Online returns are so much more common than in-store returns. How do you combat that?
It's going to happen. And we can run a very profitable business with return rates at the levels that they are. The trick is, how do you make sure that a return always equals a repurchase? So where we've invested the most is, yes, you want to mitigate returns, but mostly you want to make sure returns equal retry. And that's where the team has excelled the most.
You've raised $47.2 million from investors, $16 million over the summer. What have you done with the latest round? Any plans for expansion?
We're going to continue to expand in the physical retail world, and we're going to open up a bunch of other locations next year. Today we have 3 stores. We have a store in Boston at the Prudential Center. We have a store in Soho, and now we have this store in Columbus Circle as well.
So why open retail stores?
The physical world was important for us for 2 core reasons. One, the brand that we've created it's rich and full of content, and we want to have places where the customer can tangibly feel it and interact with it, with our people, with the expression, with the material. And then secondly, a pretty easy one. When you buy shoes, it's sometimes nice to try them on. And so our stores are not normal retail stores. We call them fit shops. And we have all of our shoes in these stores, and we have all sizes of the shoes in these stores, and we have incredible client services people that help you find the right shoe that's perfect for your foot and that you fall in love with. But you don't walk out with the shoe. We ship that shoe home to you 2 days later. And the purpose for that is we don't want inventory across the country in all different locations because we don't think that allows for efficiency. And it turns out the customer loves the idea of not having to carry the stuff home with them.
How do you practice controlled growth?
In some ways, there's good revenue and there's bad revenue. Good revenue is revenue that leads to long frequency of purchase patterns. Bad revenue is revenue that was expensive to get customers and those customers didn't repeat.
Any plans for acquisitions or being acquired?
Not today. We are focused on building today.
Any thoughts on an IPO?
Not today. We are focused on building. We are in a good place financially. The growth rates are good, and we are now going to continue to spend our time being obsessed with delighting the customer. I'll tell you that the business is more than doubling, and all of the metrics are headed in a really exciting direction. Our average customer is, if she repeats, she buys over 4 times a year, or 4 times in a 12-month period. So the fascination and excitement and obsession that the client has for the brand is real.
What lessons did you learn at Rue La La that you've brought to Gemi, especially in terms of building the business and brand building?
The notion of creating theater online. So it used to be that e-commerce was just a convenience play or a price play or search because we have the largest inventory on the earth. But great retail is about great theater. Great retail is about great excitement, great urgency. And at Rue La La, we did these sales every day that started at a specific time. And so the question for Gemi was, well, what is our news? What is our content? And that's where we developed this notion of every single week launching new product. We're the only luxury footwear company in the world that launches new shoes every single week. But that is our engagement vehicle.